Good morning, chat. I am late by like 30 minutes. Hello, everyone. Yeah, I was gonna wake up like okay, here's the thing, right? I was gonna get up at like 3 a.m. or something to catch Veal stream, and that obviously did not work out. I slept through that. I also had an alarm set up for like 8 a.m., you know, just so I can get ready for the stream. That also, well, that did wake me up. But the thing is, didn't actually get me out of the bed. So by the time I actually woke up by myself, it was basically I fell back to sleep after the 8 a.m. alarm, and by the time I actually got up, it was like 9 a.m. I was like, oh shit. I think we had similar issues before where I had the stream set up for 9 a.m. I just could not get up. So I think next time, I think REWorkshop is still better, or any other stream that's like at this hour. I should probably just do like 10 a.m. 9 a.m. is way too early for me on a weekend. Hello, person in YouTube chat. Sorry, Twitch chat. Hello. Get enough sleep? Could use a few more, honestly, but I'm feeling all right, actually. What I need more now than the sleep, though, is a shower. I'm basically passed out pretty much like within an hour. Last night I got back home. Anyways, so let's go through today's topic. So let me pull up the browser. Okay, so let's go to abuse.ch. Actually, I should probably use a different browser for this. Hang on a second. Give me a bit. GitHub.com. Actually, no, not GitHub.com. Abuse.ch. So what we're gonna do today, so I'm gonna show you guys how to get around ConfuserEx, or rather, I wouldn't say get around, or rather how to go about dealing with the ConfuserEx packed application. Keep in mind, we're not here to de-obfuscate necessarily, but just to make our life a little bit easier. Give me a second, I'm still trying to log in. Okay, log in. Sign in. Okay. Okay, so if you want to look for ConfuserEx related applications, morning stream, what? I mean, REWorkshop has always been in the morning. Hello, Doge. So we would just do tag. So normally, this is not the correct way to go about it, but I could never actually remember the actual YAR rule for it. So what I do is, there are some samples that are tagged with ConfuserEx, but this is not how you're actually supposed to search for one. What you're supposed to do is go into any of these and go to a YARA rule that says ConfuserEx, and then you'll get samples that have been tagged with this particular YARA rule. And you shower yet? Yeah, same. Stinky. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna grab a random sample. Course a rat would be good, but I would. Can I find? I can't do a. Does the search syntax allow for YARA rule? Okay, I can. So, can I do YARA? Okay, so I can. YARA that. And then we do tag. I want to look for async rat. That will make my life a little bit easier. That did not work. What? Why not? Why would that not work? Can I not have two search syntaxes? Do I need an and? No? I really don't like abuse.ch search. It's not very good. Well, I mean, that's fine. I guess we can just slowly screw through this. I want to look for one with async rat because it will make my life a little bit easier. Course rat would also be fine because, you know, course rat is like before async rat. Okay, this will do. Once again, I have not seen these samples yet, so we're just gonna grab random samples to show what my usual flow is like when dealing with these. Okay, this one looks good. Okay, so now okay. So, I don't think I need to make this bigger, actually. Can you guys see just fine? So we're gonna fire up, which bitness is this? 32-bit. So we're gonna fire up a 32-bit instance of dnspy. We're using dnspy-x, the fork that continues dnspy. Okay. So as you can see, when a application is confused, or rather packed with ConfuserEx, you'll see that, hey, all the names are scrambled up. The way it works is because .NET supports, or rather, most of the strings in .NET are wide strings. They're Unicode strings. So what most Office Gear for .NET does is that they'll usually just scramble the method names and member names. So all the strings will usually be in wide Unicode that cannot be properly rendered. So with dnspy, it just escapes all of that by escaping into Unicode strings. Do you try ILSpy? I don't really use ILSpy. I mean, it's not going to be very helpful for what we're trying to do. You'll see in a little bit. Good morning. The first step when it comes to, first of all, if you want to identify if it's whether or not confused or packed by ConfuserEx, you'll see the confused by attribute here. The second telltale sign would, of course, be the method name being all scrambled, but that would apply to all of the obfuscators. And another thing is you'll notice that, hey, what happened to all of the method bodies? They're all gone. So what happens is at the beginning of the module loading, at the beginning of loading of the module, what ConfuserEx does is that it'll go ahead and dynamically decrypt the IL code at runtime. So even if you go into the IO view right now, you won't see anything very useful. Like a lot of them are either just going to be NLPs or garbage instructions that don't really tell you anything. So what you need to do is, first of all, you got to run it. So before we do that, we need to do a little something here. So first of all, we need to go into options. We need to enable debug files loaded from process memory. By default, dnspy will use whatever's on your disk as opposed to the one in memory. Enabling that will help us get a proper view of what's going on. Now, obviously, we don't want it to just run all the way through. One thing that will be very helpful when it comes to debugging ConfuserEx, or actually might help with other obfuscator as well. One thing you want to do is you want to take a look at the type references. So even though, so even though all the method and class names, they're all obfuscated, including their bodies, the type references are not. So what this type references part does is it'll tell you, hey, what types are going to get used in the module, in the assembly. So you can still see that, hey, all of these will be used by the malware. So what you can do is you can place breakpoints here at all these reference methods. So right click, add method breakpoint. And obviously you don't want to do it to all of them, but I will just pick a few important ones. So for example, we've got assembly. Assembly class is used to load and get references to methods for properties related to the assembly. You might also want to sometimes look inside app domain load as well. Computer, that's probably... You can also get that as well. You can set breakpoints at the class constructor as well. Now to start with, you don't actually need to enable all of these method breakpoints, but I'm also just showing you what ones to look out for, like for example, file operations. You might also run into ones where some of the streams, including encryption, symmetric algorithm, compression streams, hash algorithms. You might want to also set breakpoints at web-related classes. Now, you might think this is, oh man, this is a lot of method breakpoints to add. Don't worry, we're gonna go through them and turn off some of them as we go. That's AES. Okay. Give me a second. My cat is my cat wants to get in. Okay. So what you can then do is you just run it. I thought we're on... Oh, what? I thought it's 32-bit one. Oops. Okay, let me try the 64-bit one then. Shh, cat, what do you want? Okay. Breakpoint. Yeah, he's very loud. Okay, so as you can see, we've run into a breakpoint already. If we want to see where we came from, what we can do is we can go into debug windows and then see the call stack. And what I usually do is I put in a different vertical tab so I can still see the locals. And if we go out here now, we can see that all of the methods and class names, or rather, the method bodies now actually have stuff inside now, as opposed to, you know, being empty. So at this point, you can do save module and save it as memory. Now this is just one of the ways to do it, to dump it at runtime. Another way you can deal with this is you can also use something like Extreme Dumper. Extreme Dumper will locate .NET assemblies that are in memory and then try to dump them. Do I have Extreme Dumper here? I don't. Okay, give me a second. .NET. Yeah, as you can see, it'll try to find processes with .NET assemblies inside, and you can go ahead and dump select the process if you wanted to as well. Okay, now at this point we have a module that has the IL bodies filled. Calm down, please. Yeah, that's right. Go to bed. Shh. Okay. What was I saying? Right. So at this point, we have one that is in memory. That'll make our lives a little bit easier. Now at this point, this is actually enough for me to get started working on things. But if we want to make things look a little bit nicer, like, you know, you don't want to have to look at all these long class names and member names, right? So what we'll do is we'll use d4 . Quiet down. Okay. So d4 is made by the same developer that made the original DNSpy. Now, unfortunately, d4 has been its development has ceased alongside DNSpy for a long time now. So the d4 build I have is actually really old. I don't know if there's a fork of it anywhere that actually still gets maintenance. You know, kids these days, right, would just use ASMers over for this. But I think d4 is still good enough for, like, if you just want to clean up the member names. Oh, I don't have d4 on this machine. Okay, give me a second. Okay, I have one that I compiled myself, thankfully. Let's bring up a terminal instead. Looks a little bit nicer. So if we go into, yep, there, d4 , and then we do that on the memory one. So what we'll do is it will actually give us one that has the member names cleaned up. Now, you might be wondering, doing all of these, does that still make the original assembly work? Like, what happens if you try to run it now? Wouldn't the surely the malware would be like, hey, I can't run this now. That actually doesn't really matter, because the way .NET works is that all of the references, they're not based on names, they're based on tokens. So as long as the token are still at the same value, then all the member references will always be correct. What is the other alternative if you don't want to use d4dot? I actually don't. So the name I mentioned earlier, ASM Resolver. ASM Resolver is more like a library that you can use to interact and or dynamically deal with .NET modules. That is one way if you want to go about patching things. If you just want to clean up the member names, then I think d4dot is still the go-to. ASM Resolver was made by shoot, what's his name again? It starts with a W. Is it Washi? Yeah, it's made by Washi. Washi knows a lot about .NET low level and dealing with malware in general. Sorry, .NET malware in general, or just low level .NET. He knows a lot of stuff. In fact, he was here in a stream, I want to say a year or two ago, when we were dealing with SOS modules in WinDebug. He was actually quite helpful. Okay, so now, just to prove that it still works, right? So we're gonna run this cleaned one. So we're gonna stop the previous one. We're gonna open up this clean one. It should work. Entry point not found. Ah, okay, now it doesn't work. Great. But can we run the clean? Sorry, can we run this one then? Oh, wait, not you. We should still be able to run the memory one. Huh. Okay, so that normally doesn't happen. Normally what's supposed to happen is you should still be able to run the one in memory, dump from memory, or the one that has been cleaned. I want to try cleaning the variable names on this one. Sorry, not you. Would that run properly? Okay, if we run this one. Okay, nope, it does not like that. Well, that's fine. So we are now in the conundrum of, well, only this one works, the original one. So what happens if I can't deal with cleanup memory? Sorry, what happens if we can't deal with cleanup modules? So what I would usually do is I would just do everything at runtime. So we can still run this as usual, and then just let it hit breakpoint and go back in here. So now that we have a memory module, Indian Spy. So what we usually do is I just do everything at once in one session, so that it's a little bit tough, but that's one way I would go about doing it. Where instead of renaming all of the modules and member names, separately in static analysis, what I do is I just do it everything at once in a dynamic analysis session instead. So I can just, if you want to clean up these member names by hand, you can. You just do Alt-Enter, and it'll give you the edit method dialog. And I can just go, okay, so this calls process get current process. So I just rename this get current process. And there you go. Now what we can do is we can do Control-Shift-R, which will give us the analyzer view, which will tell you, hey, what this method is being used for. We go back and see that, hey, it's this. Now, we might also want to investigate what's in here, right? We might want to also rename these while you're here, right? Now, obviously, you don't want to do this for every method because that would take a while, but you can if you want to. What's this? Now this doesn't, at this point, it doesn't really matter because we're just in get current process, so we can actually just step out. Now the problem with not having access to a cleaner assembly module is that you'll notice, hey, it's having trouble. In the locals window, you'll see that's actually having trouble getting the values for these variables. That's because the Inspy can't deal with the compiler generated variable names. So that's why ideally you want to have the cleaner one. But if we can't, that's fine. We have another way of getting around it. We'll get to it in a little bit. So as you can see, it's trying to get the process module file name of the current process. So even though it's having trouble deciphering the variable names and variable values that are in here, as soon as you step into a base class library, the world of base class library, at this point, if you go shout, hello, hello, thank you for the raid. I hope you had a good stream. What are you streaming? Let's see here. Hope you had a good one. Let me check. Hello. Let's see here. Hope you had a good stream. Ah, okay, so you're also in the software game development category. Hello. Hello, everyone. Ah, okay, you were doing coding. Hello, hello. Hope we had a good stream. Get some rest if you need it. And yeah. Right, what was I saying? Right, so if you go into the base class library, you're gonna see the class names and class members just fine. So for example, if we couldn't figure out what process it was trying to access, right? I mean, we did what we could because it was just calling get current process. But in theory, if we're looking at a different process, it'll still show you, as soon as you step in here, you're gonna see everything related to the class, to the process class in here. So in this case, it would be our main module. So it'll be the assembly that we're currently executing. We just keep step out. Have a good one. We'll be raiding for a while. We'll be lurking for a while. That's fine. Have a good rest. Thank you for the raid again. Okay, so we can step through. You can also see what ConfuserEx has done to the main assembly is somewhat similar to control flow flattening, where instead of just going line by line through the original code, what it does is actually creates a while loop, and for every chunk of the code, it makes every one of those chunks generate a different value every time the while loop is about to loop back, so it'll know what the next chunk of instructions it should execute. So obviously we won't be able to read this, but that's fine. We can just step through. As you can see, when dealing with these obfuscated.NET modules, the easiest way would always be to just dynamically going through this, because there isn't really, there really isn't a way of quote-unquote de-obfuscating this. Now, you wouldn't want to spend too much time on quote-unquote de-obfuscating anyways, because usually, first of all, you can't really guarantee if the behavior is going to be one-on-one the same as the obfuscated binary. But also at the same time, it just takes so long that it's usually not worth it. You'll usually have a better time just running, observing everything through dynamic analysis instead for these obfuscate bins. We can rename this member name as well. Time span. Now, there's a reason why I specifically chose async.rat, because if you know anything about async.rat, you'll know that there's going to be a settings class that holds all of the settings related to, I think it's probably this one. We will set a breakpoint here. Okay, there's a lot. That's fine. What we're gonna do is we're just gonna hit continue until it hits one of our breakpoints again. Oh, it's actually hitting environment fail fast. Execution engine exception. So it's actually gonna crash. Well, that's not ideal. I want to check if this assembly normally crashes. We're running it normally. Yes, it does. Okay. Well, we might have to try a different sample then. Well, that's annoying. I assume it's also partially because they don't have network environment set up. Sorry, network set up in this environment. So we're gonna try a different sample just in case. I do have a ConfuserEx set up, just in case this happens. That I know will work. Copy, paste. Try to run this. Okay, yeah, that's running fine. Well, we just wasted a few minutes there. No, we don't want to save. Close. Nope. Okay. Hello, Doge. Welcome back. Okay. we still have breakpoints up? We do, okay. So this one, I think it's more or less a loader because of the few assembly type references that it has. Let's run this. We have breakpoint. It's actually re-invoking itself. Oh, it's Koi. Okay. Koi is another packer, if I remember correctly. So what we'll do is we'll save this. Okay, yeah, now we have a lot more type references in here. In terms of what's normal to see in the wild, in your experience, what type of .NET obfuscation is more prevalent? I would say ConfuserEx is definitely the most prevalent because it's free. You can find builds of the obfuscator online. After that, will probably be .NET Slayer. That's also another. I forgot if it's commercially available or not, because I know there's a free version somewhere on the internet. But in terms of what's actually being used the most, it's definitely ConfuserEx, because a lot of APTs use it as well. It's probably the easiest to use, really. And it does the job very well, so. Do I have an unobfuscated async grad so I can show you guys the comparison? Let me see if I can find one. Is there a Yara rule for async grad on abuse.ch? Okay, yeah, there is. Wait, what? Nope. What? No, not you. You. I hope this is an unobfuscated async grad. Okay, that is obfuscated using a different one. Great. This one renames everything to Chinese, apparently. That looks largely unobfuscated. It's just the class names are not very readable. I was hoping to show you guys an obfuscated async grad so I can show you guys the settings class. We could also just take a look at the source code, actually. I don't need to go through all this. I have the async grad source code. Give me a second. I'm just gonna get rid of this. Settings.cs. Yes. So this would normally be what's inside the settings class. Usually have initialize settings method that decrypts the values at runtime and populate the settings class members. We'll see if we can run into that. Also, the AS class. Did we set up a breakpoint for... I'm not sure if we did, but just in case. Oh, okay, just exited. Cool. Trying to get the module name. Is there a string equals comparison somewhere around here? I just put breakpoints and brute force of steps. I mean, that's kind of what you were supposed to do, really. Or rather, the most effective way of going about it. Yeah, you'll be surprised how well that method works. Pretty much against all obfuscators. Step into... Step into? Oh, mutex. And you actually get to see the mutex name in here. By the way, I think mutex is part of... Yeah, mutex is already here. Hello, White Bear. Isn't it late for you? It's like 3 a.m.? So where's the mutex value being read from? Full string... It's the second value. Wait, no. There we go. That's more like it. So is this the settings class? No. This does not look like it. We didn't even run into the base 64 yet. Step into... Oh, okay, we're hearing the environment exit already. That's not good. Wait, why is it hitting exit after creating mutex? That would usually happen if we can't create a mutex, no? Run this. Get back here. What's flag 2? Do you think we can get the value of that? So we can do is usually you can have an autos or locals window. I'm just gonna do a locals, and I can wait, no, I want to have the watch window, and here you can enter the variable name you want to look at. And yeah, that of course does not work because it is compiler generated. The Inspite does not like that. Oh, yeah, so it's failing to create the mutex because, as you can see, it returned a false. Why is it failing to create the mutex? Let's just double check to see if it actually fails creating mutex. Well, you can check by checking the handles. Is there a mutant? Yeah, no, it's created the mutex just fine. Why is it failing then? Well, that's annoying. I want to check if I can execute the one that I dumped earlier. So it'll be this one. Yeah, of course it wouldn't work. That would be too easy. Yeah, thread sleep. Yeah, that's fine. It's having trouble here. Let's take a look at the mutex documents. Actually, it's easier if we just do this. False if the specified system mutex already existed. Yeah, so it hasn't created one at this point, I hope. Yeah, it hasn't. What? So why would it return false? What if I close it. Ooh, that's not good. I don't think I can patch the out at runtime, right? No, of course not, because that doesn't get saved. Well, I seem to have chosen a annoying sample to look at. That's fine. At least I could show you guys. We can get around this. Oh, I know why. There's another one that already exists. Okay, let's try this again. It'll work now. It should work now. Yeah, that worked. Fuck. Yeah, so the reason why that didn't want to run is a lot of malware will try to create a mutex, and if it sees another process already has the same mutex, it just won't run again, just to prevent the malware from running twice. Turns out the malware is already running elsewhere. Oops. Okay. Okay, this is really annoying to look at. I should probably rename this. Just rename this like process helper or something. It'll make my life a little bit easier. Where are we right now? We're here. Concat strings. Get folder path. Oh, is it about to create startup? Oh yeah, it did. Get rid of that. So this should be the string decryption function. To make our lives a little bit easier, we can set a breakpoint at return here. Let's go to IL. Right. Okay, that's the only return. Okay. So clearly this thing is gonna do star persistence here. So once again, just to demonstrate what happens if you... Oh, by the way, maybe you can inject or change some values. So yes and no. So you can't really do that in obfuscated bins where the variables are not properly named. However, as soon as you enter basic class library part, then you can do that. So for example, also just to demonstrate the differences. So if I set a breakpoint here, as opposed to setting the breakpoint here, So watch what happens. So as you can see, it's having trouble figuring out what A0 means and what A1 means. Doesn't know what that is, because that variable is not technically doesn't exist. So at this point, you're like, okay, I can't see this. Watch what happens when I step inside into base class library. You'll see that, hey, the names are actually here now. You can see that it's trying to copy the current location to the start folder. That's because all of the variable names are actually properly named in the base class library. The methods and assemblies that are being called inside the .NET libraries, the base class libraries. So just step out. As you can see, it created a star persistence here. And yes, technically, when you're inside a realm where the variable names are clearly defined and you can see the values, then you can actually go inside and temper with the value if you want to. So for example, let's say if I want to change the thing in file info, wait until it steps inside, and then I can actually change this if I want to. For example, if I want to get rid of the A, I can. You can just edit the values inside the locals and or other variable watcher windows. So at this point, it's actually trying to verify if the copy to startup actually worked. So what's doing is it's checking if the file attributes actually exist, and whether or not it's actually file attributes normal. And at this point, it's there just fine, so it should return true. There's also another decrypt string. Sometimes you'll be able to see the return values, thankfully. As you can see, this returned app data. But, you know, this behavior is not guaranteed. Sometimes you can also step inside and then step out again. Then you actually see the return value. That again, that's not also guaranteed. You can also see that it's trying to create a copy under app data. If we go in here, you can actually see that it's here as well. I'll get rid of that. Yep, as you can see, it's trying to copy file over there. We step out. Yep, it's here as well. So just from all of this, we already figured out, hey, it's going to copy itself over into the star folder. It's also going to try to copy itself over to the app data. I can see Doge, you're struggling with AI. Okay. So it's going to try to start itself up back at, I assume? Oh, no, it's going to try to start a scheduled task. Okay. You can actually set a breakpoint at the set. And then you can see, oh, it's actually trying to create arguments for the process startup info. In this case, schedule task, and it's trying to create a new schedule task that triggers every minute, I think. I can never remember the exact arguments for task scheduler. But as you can see, it's already been created because we already ran it once. And as you can see, it says runs every minute. Yep. I'll just let that run. At this point, it's going to try to create the process. As you can see, it's stepped in here as well. You can instead of stepping through all of that, I'm more or less just showing you how all of this works. But instead of doing all of that, if it were me, then I'd probably just set a breakpoint at process start, because at process start you can already see all of the arguments and whatnot. You don't have to step through all that before that just to see the arguments. You can see all of that in here already. Step out. Oh. Well, I've never seen this before. I've never seen the project data class before. Huh. Today I learned. The process object must have shall execute. Oh. I think they screwed up. Not me. Create new thread. Might as well rename these while we're here. Makes our life a little bit easier. Okay. So that creates a thread for this here. What else is it going to do? It's going to start the thread. Okay. So now we're in this thread. It's going to sleep for a random amount of time. That's fine, we'll let it do that. It's short enough anyway, so it doesn't really matter for us. Okay. Oh yeah, by the way, you might once you're done with a function, you might also want to once you're done with a method, you might want to also go back and rename the method, so it just makes your life a little bit easier next time you're looking at it. And obviously you won't be able to run that exact well, actually, yeah, you might be able to run it, I'm not sure. Sometimes you can get away with running a cleaned up assembly, sometimes not. So if you're going through if you're going through a sample and you want to have a detailed technical analysis, I would usually still rename regardless. First of all, it would make your life easier. It will also make anyone that's looking at the sample easier in the future. Even if they can't run the sample, they can at the very least compare the ones that you cleaned up against the one that's in memory. Step into. Call this timer. Oh, it should technically be lowercase. So now it's going to try to create a socket. New socket. And also separate point here. As you can see, it's trying to create a TCP socket. Oh, right. It's also, yeah, it's also here as well. Based on what's doing here, I might just rename this like comms helper. Again, receive. Now, technically, we don't have a network step on this environment. It's because my network adapter died. I was gonna reboot my system before the stream started so I can actually get it back up again. I didn't have time to do that today. I'm gonna double check to see if I can get it back up without rebooting. My computer has this really annoying issue where the Type-C controller, specifically a Thunderbolt controller, will just die randomly. I have to reboot to fix it. Last arrival. Yep, not showing up. That's fine. I have a backup solution.
New subscriber!
Thank you for the gifted sub. Wow, okay. You're a gifted sub, Snowman. Good to see you. I change this. To a different switch should work. Okay, no work. Okay. Let me go turn on the AC. It's getting a little hot in here. Okay. Hey, what are you reversing today? We are looking through, well, not any specific sample really. What we're just doing, more or less just giving people a rundown of how ConfuserEx works. This specific sample is allegedly an async rat. I don't really see the async rat though. Anyways, where are we? Right. Socket callback. Oh, oops. By the way, whenever you're renaming a method, sorry, when you're editing a member name, whether it's a method or a function or a field name, what you should do is, first of all, when you get here, hit Control A, and then type in your name. Because what happens if you don't? So now it's properly renamed. But what happens if you don't and you just start typing? You'll notice that whatever was behind, it would still be there. That's because it's technically still in the text box here, the original value, but you can't see it because it's not valid Unicode. So that's why you only see your names in here as opposed to this whole thing, because that Unicode string doesn't get escaped into a text box here. To it. Maybe I should get some extra sleep. So at this rate, it's also trying to connect through the socket. We want to see what's... So this will be the host name. This will be the port value. Yeah. So I guess this will be the settings class, wouldn't it? So this might be the settings class if we compare it to... No, that's still not quite async rat. I don't... Whoever labeled this as async rat, I don't think they got it right. This is not async rat. I mean, could be, but it's probably a fork. because normally the settings class for async does not use the mutex class like this. And the structure is also very different for the constructor. Post-stream nap, maybe. I don't know, if I go to sleep after a stream, it'll be like going to bed like noon, which will be catastrophic for me at the day after and the days after that. Anyways. Now, can we see the settings class? This probably will not work because, yeah, this name does not exist in the current memory, because we're editing this in a completely different. It's not like directly editing the assembly in the mod memory, rather it's caching it in memory in the unspy. So what we're typing here isn't actually editing the actual assembly itself. That's fine. We can go in here. We can set breakpoint at connect. And at this point, we'll see that, hey, it's trying to connect to this here at this port. Kind of annoying that I can't just change it from hexadecimal. But you get the idea. We'll see if it actually connects. I don't think it will. I think the C2 is dead. Yeah, I think it's dead. Unfortunate. We'll just forcibly close this. Now, at this point, you might be like, okay, I figured out how to go about looking through things at runtime with obfuscate bin like this. Now, what about actually being able to hunt this kind of stuff? Because, well, you want to be able to detect it, right? Unfortunately, you won't be able to just hunt for this because you can't just like write instructions and expect it to hit, because all of this gets decrypted at runtime. You can't really just be like, okay, I want to see if this match. It won't, because while it's packed, it won't ever match that instruction. But what you can still do is you can still write instructions matching for the one that's in runtime, just in case you want to use the YAR rule for live environment hunting. So what we can do now is, for example, if I want to go, let's find a maybe the settings class. So usually you want to avoid anything that's related to string decryption functions and or the control flow flattening related integers, because those aren't going to be very helpful. It's going to match other assemblies that are obfuscated using the same thing. So what you should instead do is find ones where it's doing very specific things. Like, for example, this sleep, I would probably do this part, because first of all, it has actual fixed integer in here. that's probably going to be unique to the sample. And the way it's calling is also very unique. It's calling the random value and calling thread sleep. So we can go in here, we can go into IL. And I would do like this part. What we'll do is not you. We'll open up a new VS Code session. I'll do a something like that. We actually don't need internet connection right now, knowing the C2 is dead, so I'm just gonna disable that real quick. Okay. So this is not the first time I've talked about writing YARUL for .NET modules, but I figured I'd go through it again, just in case, for those that didn't watch the previous stream. So usually when it comes to writing .NET YARULs, you want to use the .NET module. But I want to show you guys the ways you can get around without using the .NET module for hunting. So this applies to not only .NET, but also other languages that rely on bytecode. For the case of .NET specifically, I can tell you, well, first of all, let's just paste the IL that we had in here. Move this to the back. I'm going to call this instruction thread sleep. I can't spell sleep, apparently. So for the case of .NET, I don't know why I don't have YLS running, but it's fine. We can just manually fix this. If I had YLS, it'll just automatically format this for me, but it's fine. So for the case of .NET, the first byte corresponds to the instruction, and the part after that is going to be operand, and the operand the operand will almost always be random. I wouldn't say random, but like it will be different many of the times. So what you want to do is you want to set the operand to just wildcard. So 4 would be like 4 wildcards, right? So you just type bracket 4. Now this applies to most of these instructions you're going to see. However, there's a reason why I specifically chose ones where integers are involved, because the ones after LDC are always going to be the hexadecimal value of that specific integer. So 5000, this will correspond to A13000 in Low Indian. So this part will always be the same as long as it's calling LDCI for 1000, LDCI for 5000. So you could just have this, and it should match any of the same hour family that calls 1000, 5000 using the same random calls, thread sleep, etc., etc. I can also briefly go through some of the common IL codes you're gonna see, IL opcodes you're gonna see. So the most common one you're gonna see is LDCI4. Well, it just means loads an integer into memory, into stack. And so that's also another reason why, whenever you're patching something, if you want to return, for example, if you want to set a method to like if we want to set a method that originally returns a bool, that's either true or false, you can just do LDCI. You could just replace the entire L instruction and pop in LDCI for 0 or 1 and do return. It's going to return either true or false depending on what you put in there. There are some other ones like string load. I forgot what exactly the instruction is. Obviously, we won't see one here because it never references any static string. Because all of them are dynamically decrypted. We might be able to get away with setting, no, that's gonna be too generic. So this would be a possible candidate if you just want to look for socket creation behavior. So LDCI4 also has LDCI4 1 through 10, I think. I forgot. If we go and edit out instructions, you can actually see all of the instructions in the drop-down menu. So yeah, it has 0 to 8. So you can technically, instead of doing LDCI4 and then operand with the direct value, you can also just do LDCI4 0 through 8. So for example, 2 would correspond to 18, 1 would correspond to 17, 6 would correspond to 1C. So you don't have to use whoever's writing the malware doesn't have to technically use 20 for LDCI4. They can just use, if their values are below 8, then they can go away with using these opcodes instead. Now the problem with using this chunk is that it's going to be too short. You're going to get a lot of false positives if you do this. Otherwise, if there were, like, for example, any other calls above or below that doesn't involve the obfuscated loop, then you can get away with doing this, but here it's not ideal. So I would not choose this part as a YAR rule. This is a little bit more ideal. Send buffer size set to this. We're gonna check if there's any other code that calls this on GitHub. Okay, I'm logged out of GitHub, of course. Thank you. What was it again? Send buffer size. Well, it's actually quite a few of them. So you can actually see that, by the way, GitHub is very useful for this. If you want to look back, if you want to look for possible source codes or anything that's related to a thing, you can just do a code search on GitHub. And so as you can see here, there are actually a few of them that uses that sets the send buffer size to 51200. Now, of course, there are legitimate applications that do this as well. So that's why I wouldn't necessarily do this. That being said, most of them that do that seems to do it inside a method next to the socket creation. So this might still be viable. Also, we've now kind of narrowed it down. We know it's definitely not async rat, but it could also be X-worm or venom rat. So what we can do is I can actually go in here and check. The implementations here. I guess they just reverse engineered the venom rat. Is venom, how closely related is venom rat to X-worm? Because these look pretty much identical. So let's assume that this is the same class. Then we can go back in here and rename this. Is there a timer here as well? I mean, either way, I actually think this part would actually make for a good YARU as well. Just because it's setting all of this next to a obfuscate call anyways. Legitimate applications wouldn't be doing this part anyway, so we can do this. I would say this part. I feel like a caveman doing this formatting on my own. Normally I just have wireless do this, the Yarrow language server. Okay, Ooga booga coding, so true. Okay, I'm gonna take a little break and come back to this in a little bit. Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, I have returned. Sorry. Just had the weirdest thing happen. So, I checked my phone. I have an app installed called Hail, which suspends apps in the background. When I checked my phone a few minutes ago, I was like, where'd the app go? I don't know what happened, but apparently it got uninstalled at 3 a.m. What? I don't know. I don't know exactly what happened there because I don't remember waking. So like I did have my alarm set up at like 2 something, but there's no way I could just accidentally uninstall it in my sleep at exactly 3 a.m. I don't know what happened. Like so the way I figured out that it got installed at 3 a.m. is because I checked the notification history. And I saw package installer uninstalling the thing at 3 a.m. I don't know what happened. That is a little concerning. I might have to. I'm not even sure how to go about investigating it. I have to double check things after the stream. Anyways, where are we? Right. So we know this might be the listener client. Sorry, the listener class. Would it actually be the listener class though? Because like, there's a lot more stuff inside of this function, or sorry, in this class. We also have right, the type reference is going to be empty here. That's normal. I'm gonna have to find a different one. Yep, you. Type references. Let's set one here as well. It looks like there has been a lot of different variants of a similar rat that uses the same listener snippet. Okay, anyways, we also want to find used by. Description. Related to Xworm. Generic unknown.net wrap. I want to see if there are I'm gonna go through the type references to see if there are any useful ones that we can use. Just close on my work tab. Good. It's time to relax. Let's see. Used by. Give it a little bit. What do you mean good? Well, here's the thing, right? If you close your work tab, then you don't have to worry about work anymore. Simply give up. Work is the only way I can cope with me having no friends IRL. Real. Have no GF, simply work. So true. Let's see here. Don't want to do the ones on GDI. I want to see if there are any other LDC ones. LDC I4. Preferably ones that aren't. I mean, we can also just do like 20. The like 6 and then 00. Oh yeah, that makes it a little bit easier. So we have one for 1,000, 5,000. Let's go back to where we were here. 128. Why is there one for 540? Oh, that's for checking administrator, right? I mean, so this would technically be fine as well. But you're probably getting a lot of false positives for that. What's this 112? Oh. Okay, that's for the initialization. Is it just me or there are way fewer classes here compared to what we saw earlier? I didn't know Discord alerts friends if a person comes back Discord after a while. You go invisible. That's a thing? Huh. Okay, not you. Get out of here. Not you, not you, not you. What? Not you. The problem with enabling that checkbox earlier, where it's like use the one in memory instead, is you're gonna have a lot of duplicate instances on the left here. Timer callback. Used by... Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these. They're not relevant right now. Get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. Okay. Used by... Oh. It's in that koi, but not this koi. I feel like we're missing a few classes here. I mean, that's fine. What we can do is select here. I think this would be a good place to do it as well. Timer. We can do this for, and we'll leave the 21s. Trim. I would probably do like 2 of them instead of any of them. Okay, let's see how effective this is. Now we'll compare it to my local difficult ones. Right. I can't just copy paste like this. Kind of annoying side effects of administrator protection. So for those who don't know, you can't copy paste between... Okay, that's not entirely true. You can copy paste between the root partition to the child partition of Hyper-V, but with administrator protection on, you can't do it the other way around. You can no longer just copy from child partition and paste it into the root partition. I'm not sure if that's intended side effects or not, but it does make things a little bit more annoying. But there are still ways you can go about getting the file from the child partition into the root partition, which is with PS Remote Session. Oh wait, not you, public. I have a script written for this, thankfully. Yara. Yeah. Yep. Yara. -S. Do a scan. Let's see if this matches anything in the Mailpedia repository. Give it a little bit. No, it doesn't. Okay. Let's do any of them to see if it matches. Now, granted, I don't think there's going to be a lot of repositories on Mailpedia that's going to be like unpacked binaries. Okay, that doesn't match anything. That's interesting. Is my rule too tight? I don't think it is. This looks reasonable, I think. Okay, hang on a second. I need another tiny break real quick. Sorry about that, but yeah, be right back. Yep. Okay, sorry about that. My stomach is complaining. All right, let's get back to our war. So, I mean, if that doesn't match, we might be able to get away with just this. Then we might be able to get away with any of them. I might loosen it if there are too many FPs. But I don't think there's gonna be, based on the quick search I had with my local repository. So let's just do any of them. Let me pull up the previous rules I've written on the stream. So we can just copy the metadata. Copy these over. Get rid of that. We'll get a new UID. Nope, not you. Our bazaar. use.ch. We need to get to RFI. Login. Reference MD5. What was it again? This one, yeah. MD5. What? Okay, the browser window I had open just crashed. Okay, thanks. We will reopen up a new window because it crashed. Okay, give me a second. Thanks, Edge. That's what I get for using you. Oh, I got logged out. I got logged out of GitHub as well on here. Oh, god damn it. Well, give me a second. By the way, I'm thinking next week when we get back to reading. It's been like quite a few weeks since we last did a Windows Internals reading stream. This might be the first time where I actually did 2 REWorkshops in a row. In 2 weeks, I mean. You guys can't see what's going on, that's normal. Stop asking me for a passkey. I don't want a passkey. Okay, we're back. Views.ch. By the way, I kind of just realized the licensing terms that I set up for the malware deconstructor lab repository is not compatible with the YARDL license I set up, because my YARDL setup is CC BY NC, so no commercial use. The one I have on the repository was GNU. Sorry, it was GPL. I think GPL is inherently incompatible with this because GPL assumes you can use for basically implies you can use it for commercial use if you wanted to. Oh, great. I'm gonna have to open up another admin session again. Give me a second. So I've actually had a few issues with administrative protections a few times already. But most of the time it's because the app was not updated or designed with that thing in mind. So it's understandable. And also administrative protections still in developer preview anyways. Licenses are tricky. Yeah, I'll be honest, I don't want to think too much about licensing. It's like, okay. Like, technically, right? I actually don't really care if people use it for commercial use, but I do not. I like them to inform me if they're going to use it for commercial use at the very least. So that's why I default just say no commercial use. At least for the YAR rules, I mean. I think that might also explain why. So, ThreatRare recently added a curated list of YAR rules on their services. I think that might be why mine isn't on there, because I specifically deny commercial use. Because like I saw a lot of YAR repositories on there. They're on GitHub. Okay. I'll upload this to YAR Hub. And let me show you the window. Upload. By the way, let's take a look at our previous hunts. Well, I got like one match for the WinOS. Good to see this is still matching. My dark tortilla roll apparently still hits as well. This one still matches, really? Sorry, you couldn't find a file of this SHA-256 hash in our corpus. Then why would you list it here? What? Okay, we gotta wait for this to validate. Refresh. Yes, you can see my email. Don't worry, that email is public. What's this one matching windowless variant? Leaked. Apparently there's only one Yara rule match, and that's mine. What is this sample? I'll look into it after a stream. Kind of curious that they're using SHA-3 match and not... Oh, no. So they're using SHA-256 as the main, but why not just put it here? That's so weird. I don't have the leak emote. You're right, I don't. Wow, okay. Give me a second. I kind of forget what emotes I have. I don't have sometimes. Leaked. What? I added it to it already. Confirm. Confirm change. Matt request. This emote has a conflicting name. What? Huh? I think there's something wrong with 7TV right now. Oh, the one I added was leaked, like LEKD. Okay, can't rename that. Oh, I can't. Leaked. Confirm. Okay, now it should be leaked, like spelled properly. There we go. Leaked. Okay, my Charino is not updating. Well, I guess it'll be their next stream. Well, that's fine. I should probably go through my emote list. There are a few I don't need. Should probably get rid of them as well. You can force it by F5? I did. It didn't work. I'm not sure why. Okay, we definitely don't need XQCL. Let's see. This is now turned into a emote review stream. We don't need so huge, do we? Yeah. No, you know, we can keep it. It's fine. We have 3 variants of XDD, XDX. We can get rid of Majima Dance. We can get rid of Doc Nile. We'll use Evil Nile instead. There we go. Is it done validating yet? Refresh. Nope. Give it a little bit. Gleeby DB. Why is this? No, this is not people run. That's skeleton run. Seems like AUR died again? What was it? AUR status, whatever it's called. Isn't it AUR status page? Oh, I guess this is the only one. No. Do they not have an official status page? That's not very helpful. I mean, here, let me try yay SYU no confirm. Oh, I need password. Right. Do you think down detector has like AUR on there? It worked a while ago. I checked something from AUR. So the thing with AUR down, it's usually intermittent. It never really goes entirely down for me, it seems. Request failed. EOF. Yeah, AUR is down. Yep. Connection reset. Yep. Dead. Oops. 07. I don't know how long this is going to take to validate. It's fine, we can just do our emote review in the meantime. I think I can share this page just fine. Hang on. Something happened with certificate? No. If it's EOF, then that just means like empty. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a certificate that's causing that. But yeah, I'm also getting EOF on my AUR on my Yay as well. Okay, while we're waiting for the validation of the YAR rule, let's review our emotes. Because we have quite a few. Let's get rid of a few of them that I rarely use. We can get rid of this. I don't know when's the last time anyone... Well, I feel like Crispy might use this, but I'm good. Is there any other ones that we should add as well? I want to add bad one. Do I have bad one? I don't. Okay. You go bad one. By the way, I know there was a... So I tried to get up early for Nero stream today, because there was a return of the news stream. I didn't manage to catch that, unfortunately. I'll watch it after a stream. Why does the Magellate have a red eye? Did they forget to update it from the Halloween? I don't remember it having a red eye. Rawr. All of that, Glorp. Let's see what Glorp emotes there are. Glorp? I didn't know you can have question mark in the emote. Gah. You guys can't see it. Gah. That's the one I was thinking of. I'm gonna add this stupid ass emote. Gah. You know, we should add some zero width emote as well. Wave 0. What was that? You know, I'm gonna go into Vito's chat and then steal the URL from there. Open 7TV emote link. There we go. Zero. How would anyone look this up? This is not very SEO friendly. I'm gonna refresh. See if that helps. Okay, wave 0 is not... Oh, no. It's wave 0. Try that again. Here we can get rid of this. How do I remove an emote? Because now we have 2 of the same emote. Normally this would be ticked. I just untick it, but now it's... Okay. You know what? I guess we have 2 emotes of the same thing now. Refresh. Wave. I don't know why wave 0 is not showing up. Here we go. I know it's not showing up on the overlay because it needs to be refreshed. Anyways, is it done yet? Let me check. No, it's still invalidating. Oh well. I'm just gonna push the rule onto the GitHub then. F10 and Charino's debug info? Oh, I didn't know that. I'm also not sure when I'd use it. Apparently it says I have 200,000 messages loaded. That's a lot. Okay, I gotta sign the commit. Okay, so let's go through what we went through today again. So if you want to debug anything that's wrapped with ConfuserEx, I would try to run it if possible. If not, then at least clean it up with d4dot and then try to work from there. Now, if that, obviously there are times where this method wouldn't work. I have run into that like once or twice, where not even running a runtime would work. There are some harder, more annoying obfuscators out there that do that, where even at runtime, it's still the out would still not be shown. In that case, you might have to use SOS with the WinDebug. But in this case specifically, regarding ConfuserEx, you can get away with just running it, and it'll just spell out the decrypted IL in the method body, and after that you can just save the module. And from there you can also look at type preferences to set your breakpoints and then work from there. Having usually with ConfuserEx, your best bet would be just looking at it dynamically. We also went through again on how to write YARA rules for .NET modules. I wrote one for this specific malware, which seems to be an X-worm or Venom rat, adjacent rat. I'm not sure what this is, so that's why I'm calling unknown. Yeah, I guess that'll be it. Let me see if I can raid someone. By the way, regarding Voices of the Void, I might stream tomorrow depending on how I'm feeling. If not, then I'll put it into next week, because I definitely want to do VOTV within the next 7 days or so. It's still currently on, the latest build is currently still unstable, allegedly there are some bugs that haven't been fixed yet, but I still kind of want to actually play it because I did watch Joel play it for like 3 hours or so yesterday. There seems to be a lot that has been added. I don't know exactly what's new and what's not. I know almost every gameplay aspect has been overhauled. That's one reason why I want to actually go back and play the new version. Anyways, raid. Give me a second. Oh, speaking of Joel's streaming right now. What? Joel and Jolly, they're both streaming this game called No Players Online. What is this? It'd be one thing if it'd be like one person streaming it, but like two? As I'm almost done with the project. That's good. We're also almost done here. Okay, I'll send you guys over to Jolly's stream then. Have a good day, everyone. And good luck with your project, Doge. I'll see you guys next week. Or tomorrow, depending on feeling. Bye-bye.